Welcome back to Tamer Bowling Video Ball Reviews. Today we are testing the latest from Motiv, the new Nebula. If you like what we do, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and check us out on Patreon. First impressions? The Nebula is long and sharp as Motiv says, but there's more to it than meets the eye, and that's where it gets more interesting. Alright, let's jump in and talk about the ball and what Tyler saw. Firstly, the Nebula feels like a quintessential mid-late ball in the arsenal. That's the clean, flippy look that makes sense when the lanes break down or there's medium to lower volume. One of the challenges I can see for Motiv fans is they technically have maybe 8 current balls that fit there. That's including the Primal Rage Revolution, Hyper Venom, Super Clutch, the Max Thrills, even the Ascend could be considered there. What makes them different is nuanced. The Nebula, I'd say, is legitimately different from the others. It's very clean, almost too clean out of the box, so we scuffed it a bit and threw it a bit, and then it came to life. I think you can clearly see the sharp motion that's available when Tyler throws it, and this is what a typical mid to higher rev bowler with higher axis rotation will see. It's a bit of a what I call thin shape, and what I mean is that the transition is late and happens very quickly, so you don't get much of a mid lane read. I'd say it looked pretty punchy for Tyler, and he had very good carry. And then just to give you context, compared to another mid-late ball, for example, so you can see different shapes, the 900 Global Ember here, you can see that is definitely earlier and a bit smoother. And while they have a similar use case, you can see that Tyler didn't leave a single 10-pin with the Nebula, but quickly found one with the Ember. And that's not a dig on the Ember, but it really just points out the shape difference in this particular situation. Now, what I want to add for me testing this ball is more around the variation of ball motion. I started out in the test using a slightly speed dominant motion, and part of that is to take advantage of the motion that is possible out of a ball like this. Because of the sort of thin transition, like I said, or that very quick transition, if you use speed dominance, you get a much calmer back end motion. This to me is what makes this type of shape shape from the Nebula a lot more versatile than some other mid-late balls. As I bowl mostly sport shots for the last 10 years, this is the type of ball motion that you may be shocked can come into play on flatter, lower volume, medium length patterns. And that's because the ball has easy length, and again, quick core transition doesn't mean a big sharp move, but rather one that gives you controlled left to right, meaning ultimately it controls the pattern front to back, which is what you need on tough patterns. I just want to add, as I intentionally balance revs and speed, you start to see the ball's angular capabilities. I also wanted to quickly compare the Nebula to the Crimson Jackal, which is one of my personal favorites, and that ball fits as a step or two above in the mid-defined part of the bag. An obvious delta is the length of time the transition is as the core begins its roll sooner. Transition's a little slower while still making a big climbing move, and you can clearly see that the Nebula is cleaner and less ball overall. Last but not least is Brian giving the Nebula a go on this medium house shot. And generally speaking, mid-late balls don't get a ton of use in Brian's bag. They tend to be a little too weak, too clean, but also not a lot of motor to give him better drive, especially on medium to higher volume patterns. So he may use them on shorter patterns like Cheetah or Boardwalk, for example. Sport patterns in particular. Nevertheless, he had a decent look on this medium house shot. I wouldn't say it's ideal. It's a little sensitive for having high scoring consistency that you typically see on a house shot, or that you need on a house shot. But similar to me, he can get more shape variation with speed. His normal speed kind of yielded a calmer motion down lane, slowing it down. It shapes more, as you would expect, but not uncontrollably so. He also did a quick comparison to the Ember, and while the overall board coverage is not vastly different, as you can see, the way they cover them is different. And you can see that earlier and longer phase in the middle of the lane for the Ember as compared to the later and snappier Nebula. Okay, well, the bottom line is, while Motiv touts this as the quickest responding, most angular ball they've ever produced, I honestly don't find that as the biggest selling point. Rather, its versatility in the mid-late slot is the selling point. And by the way, can't argue with a solid black bowling ball. Love it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.